What's up, guys? Mitch Pelk here, back with another episode of Pelk Talk. Today, joined by former college lacrosse star, now a current star in the PLL on the Chrome Lacrosse Club. Justin holds the NCAA record for the most goals in a career at 212. Crazy. Justin also led the Chrome Lacrosse Club in goals last season. I can't wait for you guys to listen to my guy Gutty from Garden City, baby. Enjoy our conversation here on Pelk Talk. What's up, guys? Mitch Pelk back again with another episode of Pelk Talk. Today, joined with the legendary Justin Guterding. Justin, how you doing?
Good, man. What's going on?
Nothing much. Just trying to stay busy during quarantine. What have you been up to?
Yeah, I'm in New York right now. It's a little crazy, but I'm staying busy, trying to get ready for the season.
There you go. Are you excited for the championship series?
Yeah, man, it's going to be awesome. Chrome have some business to handle. We had a tough year last year, but we definitely are ready for a rebound.
There you go. I like that. Well, off the start, what's the nickname you like going off most?
I think Gutty is my go-to now. After I've been teamed with Trevor Baptiste on the wings last season, got close with him, and he kind of been my hype man since.
There you go. How did that start?
It was my dad's nickname in college, so it was. I've had this nickname for a while. It kind of just blew up, probably last season in the PLL when Trevor started, getting in front of the camera.
The guys called you that at Garden City?
Yeah, I've had that nickname on the back of my jersey when I was in PAL. So since third grade, I've been called that pretty much my entire life.
Sweet. All right, let's start from the beginning. Growing up in Garden City, New York, an absolute powerhouse for lacrosse. What was that like?
Yeah, it was awesome. It was a lot of pressure. Everyone was everyone was lacrosse oriented. Obviously, you guys played other sports, but lacrosse is very well known in Garden City. It has a very rich tradition, so you have a lot of people that you follow up on, and a lot of people that you look up to. And then when you're in that spotlight, there's a lot of pressure on your shoulders to lead by up to the standards that those guys led by. So it was obviously amazing. Got to play in some big time lacrosse games that really prepared me for college. But yeah, it's just a powerhouse that it has so much tradition that. You really look forward to playing in the big game when you're a senior, especially the Woodstick Classic. Obviously, everyone knows about.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of pressure, but it really is awesome to be a part of.
That's sick. That's cool to hear. And your dad played lacrosse at Penn State. Is he kind of the first one to put the stick in your hand?
Absolutely. He I think I had it coming out of the womb. He was he's loved lacrosse so much and still does. Obviously, he played, like you said, at Penn State. And was a goalie, so I was shooting on him when I was younger. Eventually got to the point where he had to quit. I started getting a little older. He started getting a little older, and then he eventually had to tap out. But he played in older leagues when he was 50, and he probably quit. I would say 8 years ago now. But I used to go to his games when I was younger, and still looking up to him when I was in middle school and stuff like that. So it was really cool to be a part of that. And have someone like that lead me.
That's cool. So what was kind of Garden City like as a town? Did you grow up playing football in the fall, lacrosse in the spring, basketball in the winter, or was it always just lacrosse?
When I was younger, I played pretty much any sport I could get my hands on. But when it came, I got a little older. In middle school, I just did basketball, football, and lacrosse. And then in high school, I just did lacrosse and football. Basketball was, in the winter season, I was obviously very focused on lacrosse. So we had some workouts that, if you were really serious about lacrosse, then you would go and play. We had some guys that still played basketball, and they were, just better basketball players. So they wanted to do both. But yeah, a lot of these guys were doing mainly football and lacrosse.
Yeah. So growing up, did you play travel lacrosse?
Yeah, I played on a bunch of different teams. I played on Express. I played on FLG. I played on the Crabs for a little bit.
Okay.
That was after I committed. It was just more of a get to know other players and different styles of lacrosse. So I got to play with a bunch of Maryland players, which was really cool. We always had trouble beating the Crabs, so I felt like Kevin Durant joining them. But it was a lot of fun getting to know all these different players. And then when you're in college, you have all these relationships with all these players that stem from these high school lacrosse club teams, which is really awesome.
That's sick. It reminds me of myself with that stuff. Did you play like crabs in Placid and like
Yep. Yeah, I think I played in 2011 or 2012. I played with like Heacock, all these like really, really good players that were, that went on to do big things in college. So it's really cool getting to know those guys pretty close.
Yeah, I know. Sick tournament. Probably one of the best tournaments out there because like lacrosse is, I feel like it's such like so relaxed and it's all about just meeting new people.
Yeah, exactly. Vale and Placid are two of the best tournaments. For fun reasons and competitive reasons. They're, Ocean City is a little bit more, party based, but the Vale and Placid tournaments are actually pretty competitive, which is awesome.
Yeah, that's sick. So attending Garden City High School, how nervous were you for that first tryout?
Yeah, I was on JV my freshman year. There's no hiding that. So I obviously wanted to be on varsity as a freshman. A lot of these guys were, some of the best on Long Island at the time. So it was really tough for me to, even take that back seat, but then play on JV. And then my sophomore year, I made it on to varsity. Still wasn't really playing as much. I had 30 points as a sophomore. So that kind of just shows how good Garden City was, because I was one of the top players in my class, but going into that year was really hard for me because I wanted to, burst onto the scene as a sophomore. But it just didn't happen. It wasn't my time yet. So then my junior year and senior year, obviously stepped into that role as a starting attackman. And the rest is history.
Yeah. So obviously, like you said, having to fill big shoes, what was kind of that turning point from sophomore to junior, senior year that you played really well?
Yeah. Part of it was, we had such a good team around us that it made it easier to, kind of step into that role. You're led by great coaches, and, when you have these amazing players that are going to Harvard, they're going to Penn, you have older guys, taking that step when you're a junior, and those guys are seniors, you're looking up to them. So it makes it easy going into senior year a lot easier. But those guys, they just led by example, and were able to, make it easier for me making that transition from being a 30-point sophomore to 96 points as a junior.
That's sick. So obviously winning 2 state championships, what type of moment was that like for you?
It was kind of crazy. We didn't win states for a while in lacrosse. We were there my sophomore year, played Janesville DeWitt, and we lost on a last second goal in overtime. And, going into that junior year, we were really hyped up. We had these guys leave. Our defense was 2 Harvard guys, a Penn State guy, and we were just absolutely stacked as sophomores, and we didn't win. So we were just like, what are we doing wrong? We try to, we just listened to the seniors, and we kind of, let them lead. And, our team was very good, ended up going undefeated and winning states, which was a crazy ride. We got to play teams out of conference like St. Paul's and Conestoga, who was number 1 in the country at the time, beat them. So it was a pretty wild ride. But again, we had unbelievable team that year. And then senior year was a little bit different. We lost a lot of the guys that, were seniors, and they were a majority of our starters. So we had a really tough time going in. Senior year, we weren't sure how good we were going to be. But again, we just learned from those guys, and we were able to take what they did and learn from it. And we lost some games throughout the year, but we won when it mattered.
I like that. So obviously you said you're a big football guy in high school. Did that option ever come up to play football at Duke?
No, I was so focused on lacrosse that I thought about, trying to play somewhere. I don't know if I'd be able to play at Duke, but in high school, I had more football records than I did in lacrosse.
Really?
So again, my senior year, we won Long Island Championship, which is the farthest you can go. So that was an awesome ride, and played receiver. But once it was lacrosse season, I knew that's what I was focused on. And I committed to play lacrosse at Duke for 4 years. And it crossed my mind maybe to play a 5th year, try and go somewhere, but I was pretty set on lacrosse at that point.
Yeah, I know. I was watching the highlights in the first play. He did some one-hand snag. It was silly.
Love that.
So, do you and Deemer ever go back and forth about your football days? Because I know he was big in high school with it.
Yeah, Deemer obviously played in the MIAA, which is very competitive. Long Island football isn't as big, but yeah, Deemer was a hell of a football player. I still think I would take him if he was covering me. I know he played D-back, so I think I would still roast him for a few touchdowns.
I like that. I like that. So, would you say you liked football more, but you were better at lacrosse, or no?
Ooh. See, that's always a tough question.
The same question. He said he would like football more, but better as lacrosse.
Yeah, it is. That is a really tough question. I think now, if you ask me, I would say I like lacrosse more. But in high school, maybe that was kind of up for debate. Now, because lacrosse has taken me so many places, I've kind of realized how good lacrosse has been to me. So, lacrosse is my number one sport, and it's my favorite sport to watch, to play, and all that. But, football was a huge part of my success too, because it toughened me up. It made me a better teammate. It was a lot, it's a lot harder of a sport to grind through. When you're going through those practices, those are sometimes, a lot harder. You're getting hit constantly. But I would definitely say lacrosse is my favorite sport now. In high school, it was up for debate, at least.
I like that. That's the truth. I like that. So Then you graduate Garden City and take your PG year at Salisbury. Why'd you take that PG year?
Yeah, that was academics, pure and simple. I didn't take the classes I should have taken senior year at Garden City. It was more on me, but I got that call in February of my senior year. So I was going into lacrosse season as a senior, ready to go to Duke the next year, ready to join Jordan Wolf and try and play attack with him starting as a freshman. And that was a huge setback for me because obviously I wanted to go there so bad. And they let me know, if you want to come here that bad, you're going to have to take this PG year. And immediately, I'm going to be honest, my first thought was like, you know what, screw them. If they don't want me that bad, they would have found a way to get me in.
Yeah.
But then I kind of stepped back. I did visit a few schools. I was angry. But I took a step back and I knew that Duke was my dream. And I talked to a lot of people about it. Some great players have took PG, or Rob Pennell, Miles Jones, and like some of, I just started to realize that, maybe this is good for me. They had Jordan Wolf and Josh Dion and Case Mathias at attack. I was hoping I could crack the lineup, but when I stepped in my freshman year, all those guys were gone except Case. Yeah. So I had a better chance of playing. I kind of weighed all the positive and negatives. But Salisbury was great to me. If I had to do it again, I knew what I was going to do, I would do it in a heartbeat. So it was one of the best years of my life. It was really hard to get through, but I definitely credit a large majority of my success to that year.
Like you said, you grew up playing travel ball here and there. What was the recruiting process like for you?
Yeah, it was a little different. I did not get recruited as high, as some of these other players. I was kind of in the back burner of some of these schools. But I knew I did want to go to Duke. And as soon as I got that call to come visit, my head was set. Like if they offered me, I was going to go. It was kind of, just praying that, they liked me enough to play. But it was definitely very interesting because I saw Coach Janowski on the sideline of one of my games. And he told me the reason he recruited me is because I would celebrate with my teammates after goals, like in summer. So like, it wasn't because I was the best player on the field. It wasn't because I was the most athletic or the strongest or the fastest. He just loved that, he felt like I really loved the game. So that was something that, I knew that Coach Janowski was like one of these great guys and one of the best coaches ever. But when he told me that, it made me realize that like there's something really special going on at Duke. And he doesn't recruit, the best guys for a reason. He recruits the guys that he thinks are going to be best for Duke.
That's cool. Do you kind of remember which tournament or which game he saw you at?
I don't remember where it was. I wish I did because it is a pretty cool story, and I'll never forget it, but I just forget where it was. I remember I got my stick stolen at the tournament, but I just forget where it was.
So going through that process, what other schools did you have in mind?
Yeah, I was definitely set on a school with good academics and good lacrosse. So I looked at Penn, I looked at Princeton, and I looked at Harvard. So those were, I guess my top four. But some of these other schools, like the powerhouses, like Virginia or Syracuse or Johns Hopkins, like they didn't even call me, they didn't recruit me. I don't know if they knew that I wanted to go to a quote unquote good academic school, and they didn't bother. But I kind of think it was just more they weren't interested, and I kind of played with that chip on my shoulder that some of these top schools don't want me. So I'm just going to go out and prove that they should have recruited me or something like that.
Yeah. So did you ever have Penn State in mind with your pops playing there?
I did. I definitely talked to him, but again, he kind of enforced that he wanted me to go to my best option and what was my dream. He obviously loved Penn State, and I think he would say Penn State is his number one school when he's playing. Even we never got to play Penn State, but if we played them, I don't know who he would root for. So that's how much he loves Penn State. But yeah, he definitely just told me to follow my dream, and I loved Duke basketball as a kid. I loved watching like Matt Danowski's and the Ned Karates and all those guys. So it was really cool that that I had that opportunity to do it and follow my dream.
Yeah, it's kind of like my story. My dad played lacrosse at UVA, and he always like, look, it's your 4 years. Like, you don't have to go to UVA. Do what your mind's set on. And I think that's the best way to do it with kids.
Absolutely, because you got to give these kids the option. Some of these kids have pressure, not direct pressure. It's not like their parents are saying you have to go to this school, or if you have the option, you're going here. It's kind of just like ingrained, like say their grandpa and their dad went. They kind of feel that pressure that they need to live up to that legacy. So I'm definitely grateful that my parents, led me in the right direction of, allowing me to choose and allowing me to fill my dream.
So stepping on Duke's campus in that fall, did it feel like home from the start?
It did. It even felt like home as soon as I visited. Everything just felt right. The team, greeted me with open arms, just like they were just on campus showing me around, and it felt like I was already on the team and I haven't even committed. So that just shows the culture that Coach Danowski instills in those guys. It's not even if it's the top recruit or the 10th recruit in the class. Everyone's getting treated the same, and everyone is gets the same treatment, which is really important. So these guys have just instilled such a great culture at Duke. That it allows people to feel like it's their home, when they're there.
Yeah, that's awesome. And what was kind of that first aha moment that made you realize, like, this isn't high school ball anymore, like, I got to pick it up?
I would say it's just, you're watching these guys on TV, and as a freshman, I'm on the field with Miles Jones and Deemer Class, these guys who are like first-team All-Americans, guys who you read about or you watch on TV, and you're like, these guys are like gods. Like everyone knows these guys in the sport. And then when you're on the field, it's like, they're just the same as you. So like, it is really, really cool. Maybe they're bigger, maybe they're better lacrosse players, but at that time, it's just like no one's being treated any differently. So it's just the same player. You're just a lacrosse player. You're out on the field. So I think that would be it. It's just like, going into that, and you're like standing next to Miles Jones, you're standing next to Deemer Class, and you're like, yeah, they're my friends, they're my teammates. But like, and when you go home, from break, everyone's like, what is it like playing with them? Like, are they like, different guys, and like, are they like gods? And you're like, no, they're just like normal people, which is really cool. And everyone wants to know what it's like to play with these guys. So I think that's that moment when you're like, what I'm doing is really cool, and people want to know about it.
Yeah, I know it. And I was talking with Rob Pinnell the other week, and I had that same feeling like, oh God, like he's one of the best to ever play. Like, I don't know, like if it's going to go well. And I just remember like 30 minutes in, I was just having a regular conversation with someone.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I worked camps with Rob, and everyone's like, what is he like? Like, And you're just like, he's just a normal dude, and he loves lacrosse, and it's
Yeah.
just like everyone's like kind of the same person, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I know. I love that part. So first game, you score 6 goals. How much of the man did you feel like you were?
I was just like, maybe I could do this. Like maybe I can really play at this high level. But that's just like being in the right time. Just having that opportunity to play at High Point was just like it was their first year. So I was just like, maybe this is a good chance for me to step up and make some plays. And I found the net 6 times, and then we played. I think we played them on a Friday, and we played Air Force on Sunday, and I scored 4 goals. So I had 10 goals in 2 games as a freshman, and I was just like, holy crap! Like I'm actually doing this. Like I'm living my dream, and I'm performing at a level that I thought I could, but now that I'm seeing it, it just instills that confidence. So I did get pretty lucky because my whole career can turn if I don't play well that first game, and I don't play well the second game. Maybe I have no confidence going into that third game, and then maybe I get pulled and everything changes. So definitely was a little bit of luck and a lot of just that hard work that I put in for 20 something years, that I was ready for that moment.
That's cool. So on your Instagram, you got a pic of like Jaleel Okafor
Yep.
at a party. How often do you see those basketball guys like at house parties or just around campus?
Yeah, you see them more than you think. And again, they're just like normal dudes. I definitely stayed in touch with a few of them, like Jaleel, Justice Winslow.
Yeah.
And it's really cool because they share that one thing in common, and that's Duke. And they love the school. And even if they were there for only 1 year, they definitely, learn to interact with other guys. Like, they don't have to talk to anyone. Like these guys know that they're going to be making millions of dollars next year. They don't have to bother, getting to know someone else. But it's really cool. And maybe it's not just Coach Stanowski instilling that culture at Duke. Maybe it's just Duke itself has this certain aura around it that guys, really want to connect with other people and other athletes. It is just a very cool place to be because you have those guys who know that they're going to be stars in a year, and they don't have to be there. Like they could have went to the G League or they could have done something, but they're there and they love the school. So it is really cool seeing those guys, and you see guys come back from from the NBA to work out at Duke. You see those guys. I saw Jabari Parker once.
Yeah.
Took a picture with him. So it's really cool. These guys are just, again, like normal dudes, and it's definitely a unique place to be.
Yeah, it's kind of the same like with us with football. Like you see like Chase Young, like Justin on campus. You're like, oh my God. And then you talk to them, you're just like, they're just normal guys.
Exactly. It is. It's so awesome. It's a
cool feeling too.
Exactly. Because again, you're looking up to these guys as like gods, and like these guys are going to be making millions of dollars, and they don't seem to care in that moment. And they want to interact with people. They're just like normal people, which is super cool because the basketball building, like Cameron Indoor, is right next to our lacrosse building. So you see them a lot more than maybe normal students do. But yeah, it's awesome seeing those guys on campus.
That's sick. So I was doing my research and I looked on your SoundCloud and I saw you made a couple mix at Duke. You think will we ever get those SoundCloud mixes back now?
I don't think so. I'm too busy now.
Those days are done.
In college, you got a lot more time.
Yeah.
But I definitely had some help on a few of those. But yeah, that's past my prime. Those were all
good. That's what I was gonna ask. I was like, you should keep on doing this.
One of them was definitely made by my friend Charlie Ford. So shout out Charlie.
Okay, sweet. You switched from the number 33 to 14. Why that switch?
Yeah, so tough discussion, but it's one that I hold very close to my heart. One of my friends passed away my sophomore year, and it was really hard. We went to high school together. We grew up together. Played football and lacrosse. Again, we were captains together, so we were really close. But he wore number 14 in Garden City, so we had, I think, 7 of our friends from Garden City that were playing college lacrosse at the time all switched to 14 that next year, our junior and senior year. So it was really cool, and to be able to honor him in that way is such a small thing that we can do. But yeah, it was incredible moment for me being able to switch that number. One of the seniors had that number. He had 14 that year, and I just asked him, just any chance I could switch with you, and like, obviously it's really important to me, and he did. And so shout out to John Schaefer. I obviously appreciate that. But yeah, it's a really cool moment. The week he passed, we were actually playing in the ACC semifinals against Notre Dame, and it was obviously one of the hardest weeks of my life. But I was playing so bad the entire game, didn't score, and then overtime came around, and Miles Jones comes over the top, ran into the crease, and he threw it into me. Closed my eyes, shot it, and scored, and it was just a moment I'll never forget. So he was definitely looking down on me in that game, and the rest of my career.
That's sweet. That gives me the chills a little bit.
Yeah, the video. I play it often because it gives me, it just gives me that hope that I know he's looking down on me.
That's awesome. That's really cool. So is the conspiracy of Coach Zanowski making you guys do yoga, is that true?
Oh, it's true. We do that in the fall a lot. We tone it back a little bit in the spring, but it's more of just like a recovery thing and stretching. So I guess it works. I hate stretching. I hate yoga, but when we were in there for 30 minutes, I gave it my all. But it was, it's definitely, again, one of those unique things that he does. And most coaches don't really think about doing that, but he lets us go in there. You don't think about anything for 30 minutes. So it's just like a good release, and you got a great stretch, obviously, and a good sweat. So it's, something again that he does. Then everyone's like, is that going to work? Like, should I do that? Or you start to see other people, kind of taking things that he does. But it's true.
Going kind of down your career, setting that all-time career goal record at 212, what was that like for you?
It was, something I never even like thought of, and like nothing, it was never a goal of mine. It wasn't like, even going into senior year, I knew I had like maybe a chance of hitting it, but it was never, going in my freshman year, I was never like, oh, I want to set the all-time goal record of NCAA lacrosse. So it was never on my mind. But once it started getting closer, down in the season in my senior year, it was just, kind of surreal, because it's just something you don't ever think you can do. Obviously, you have the hopes that maybe you want to break Matt Danowski's scoring record. But like, that's never, breaking the all-time goal record is nothing that's, you don't think it's realistic, so you don't even set it as a goal. So once it did happen, I got the call from Zach Greer, and it was just like, I had a picture of him in my wall at my dorm. So like, it was just like something I'll never forget. It was a really cool moment. Again, something you never really think you can do, but with all the hard work and teammates that you have along the way, they allow you to do those kinds of things.
And passing two Duke guys to get there, how cool was that for you?
Yeah, again, two all-time greats too, like guys you grew up watching, and like it's kind of surreal even still to talk about passing Max Gonzani and Zach Greer. Like, you don't even think that's realistic when you're a freshman at Duke. All you're worried about is like catching and passing. Like, you just don't want to mess up in a line drill. So like, it's not something you're like going out every day and practicing to break that record. You're kind of just there to focus. And in that moment, you're so concerned about messing up that you don't even place your goals on these kinds of things.
Yeah. So would you give up that record for that national championship?
100%. I've said it. It's not even a question in my mind. I went to Duke to win a national championship. So, I still think about that game all the time. I know it was on TV the other day. I still have not watched the game. I don't think I ever will be able to.
Oh, you haven't watched it since?
No, I couldn't even tell you about the game. I was so, it's obviously something that is so hard, because that's all I wanted. That's what I went there for. So yeah, it sucks, but again, it helped shape me for my future in pro lacrosse.
Yeah, that's exactly what Rob said. He said he would give his torch on for that 2009 championship, and he also said, like, if that didn't happen, I probably wouldn't be here talking to you today.
Absolutely. I totally agree with that. It's something that motivates me. Everyone's like, oh, you set this goal record, been to a national championship. You've done just about everything. Like, what motivates you? And I'm like, there's a ton of things that motivate me.
Yeah.
And losing in that national championship is certainly one of them.
Yeah, for sure. So then graduating Duke and getting drafted to the MLL, what type of moments like that for you? Was that always a childhood dream of yours?
Yeah, it was actually. I definitely wanted to play, professional lacrosse, especially as the years went on, and kept getting better and better. And I was like, maybe I have a shot at this. Maybe I could get drafted. And once I think probably sophomore and junior year roll around, you start to realize that you can do this, and you just got to keep putting in the hard work that you do, and everything else will come along with it.
Yeah. So playing in 1 year in the MLL, then playing in the PLL, what do you think the difference is in leagues?
It's kind of tough. I don't want to like really trash the MLL, but I just think it's something that it's two different styles now. It's like there was I think 11 teams when I was there, maybe 10, and there was just a lot more guys on the field. Just in general, there was just other players that maybe didn't take it as seriously. And now that there's six for last year, now that there's seven, but last year with six teams, you think about it, there's six lefty attackmen that are going to play in the world at that time. So like you have to keep working, you have to keep all this stuff up. It's just a different level of competitiveness. It truly is like the best of the best. Especially once the guys start flowing over more from the MLL, it's going to be even more competitive. So it's really, I'm really excited to watch Rob this year, and see how he does. I know he's very motivated to play well this year. But yeah, it's gonna be really an exciting year for sure.
That's sweet. And playing that first year, playing in a year in the PLL, which league felt more professional?
The PLL definitely. You just get treated differently. Again, don't want to go back to like bashing the MLL, but you don't have, you're not walking off a bus with people taking pictures of you.
Yeah.
Like you're showing up to the game in cars and stuff, and maybe you're on a team bus, but you don't have that feel of like being a professional. You're not on main TV, like you're not on NBC in front of 100 million people. Like you just have that different. You have that in the back of your head, like a lot of people are watching this game, so it's a little bit different as opposed to maybe if it's on Lac Sports Network, it's just a little bit different. And again, I love what MLL has done. For those guys, they've obviously done an amazing job, all this stuff. Same with Lac Sports Network, but it's just a little bit different when you're on, one of the main, channels on TV.
Yes. What would you say is the coolest part of the PLL? Is it all the fans? Is it being on national television? Is it all like the exposure you guys get?
I mean, again, I think it's going back to playing with the best of the best. Like when you're my first year coming out, I was playing with the best, but now this is truly the best of the best. And it's guys who you've looked up to that you're playing with. Like I got to be really close with Kyle Harrison. Like I never even thought that was like a chance. Like why would I ever think that's like why would I ever think I could be able to like just text Kyle Harrison and ask him for advice at any point when I was younger, when I'm watching him play in national championships. Like you never really think of those things. So you get to be really close with these guys and then play alongside them and compete with them it's just a dream come true and something you kind of take for granted until you step back and you're like, you looked up to these guys for your entire middle school. I don't want to date those guys too bad, but you looked up for those guys, and now you're playing with them and competing with them is kind of surreal.
No, it's true. And throughout your career in the PLL this past year, what was kind of the realization to you that you've made it? Was it getting drafting? Was it setting that record? Was it getting a sponsorship? What was that for you?
That's kind of a tough question. I'm kind of in that boat of I don't know if I've still made it. Like I don't know if I've secured myself as one of the best players in the world. And once, if I were ever to be talked about as like Tom Schreiber as the best in the world, then I would say, I've made it. But that's what kind of keeps me going is I'm still not in that conversation, and I don't expect to be right now. But that's going to just, keep growing with, hard work and determination and all this stuff. Talked about as the best player in the world, maybe I can put my feet up for a little bit.
There you go. I like that. How surreal of a moment was that for you with Matt Danowski growing up coaching you and then playing alongside him on the Chrome? How weird or cool was that for you?
A lot of my friends ask me that, especially my teammates at Duke, are just like, does Matt still treat you the way he treated you at Duke? Obviously love Matt to death, but like we butted heads because we were both these guys who were so competitive, and he wanted to win so bad just as much as I did, which is kind of crazy. Like you think about a coach like, oh, he wants to win just as bad as like his players, but it's true because Matt is such a motivated guy and all this stuff, and he's taught me so much. But he'll tell you right to your face, like we butted heads because we were both just so competitive, and we always wanted to be the one that was right, quote unquote, like whatever. Yeah. He's trying to teach me, and I'm doing something differently, just because I have one goal in mind, and it's to win. And obviously people have different thoughts. So like when I go back and I step back and I'm like, I watched this guy and I idolized him, and now he's coaching me even as a freshman. I'm like, holy crap, like my idol is coaching me right now. And then fast forward, and now I'm playing with him. This again, it goes back to like you never think this is like a chance, but this is all the opportunities that lacrosse gives you, and it's just so surreal. And I'm so obviously honored to play with him, be coached by him, and watch him play is just incredible.
Yeah, that's awesome.
But yes, he still does yell at me in practice sometimes.
Does he really?
Absolutely.
That's funny. So I did my research a little bit, and I was watching this video with you and RJ, and you said your favorite Instagram influencer was Emily Ratajkowski.
Yes.
So if you guys were in the same bar together and she walked in, what pickup line would you use for her?
I have a girlfriend. I can't. She would kill me. I'm sorry.
Okay, I like that. Honest guy.
Yes,
And,
I would never.
There you go. More research, and I found out you fall asleep to white noise.
Yes.
True.
Yes, it's actually something I was inspired by Marcus Holman, and I don't know why, but one day, I forget where we were, but we were just in a hotel. I think it was for when we were in Ohio, and I just like went to his room for something. I think we were like talking about what we're gonna do for this game or something, and then he was like, "All right, I'm gonna take a nap," and he put on the white noise. Like he had a white noise machine. Like he brought it. I just put it on my phone. Like he's pretty intense about it. I think I stayed there and I fell asleep like that. Like I was just like, and I usually can't fall asleep that easily. But then I started doing some research, and it's supposedly good for your brain, which I need all the help I can get. But yeah, I've just put on my phone. I have a playlist. Like if you were to like look me up on Spotify, you would just see my white noise playlist, and I just play it every night. Yeah, I don't know. It's something I like can't sleep without.
No, yeah, because I've been listening and falling asleep to white noise for like 3 years now, and you're literally the first person I've ever met that does that. And it helps so much. I either need a white noise or a box fan, and I have to have something.
I know. If it's dead silent, I will be up all night staring at the walls.
It's brutal, yeah. So down to our last segment called Quick Talk on Pelk Talk. I'm going to hit you with a quick phrase, sentence, and you give me a quick answer back.
Okay.
All right, favorite food?
Chicken parm.
Just love that. PLL's cockiest player?
Jared Newman.
If not Duke, then?
Penn State.
Okay. Best teammate ever?
Will Haas.
Most overrated lacrosse player ever?
Ever?
Yeah.
I'll say Sergio Salcido because he won ACC Player of the Year my junior year.
Okay, I like that. Most
overrated. No hate on him though.
Okay, most overrated basketball player ever?
LeBron because I'm a Jordan fan now.
Okay. Most swag in the PLL?
Miles Jones, hands down.
Really? Okay.
Biggest
hack in the PLL?
Tucker Durkin.
The last question, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Hopefully holding a gold medal after Team USA.
What about your personal side?
My personal side?
Yeah.
25 now. Maybe married.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not. Huh?
Maybe a kid?
Oh, 5 years? Maybe.
Okay.
Possibly.
Okay. Well, thanks, Justin. I appreciate you coming on Pelk Talk. Where can the fans find you?
Yep, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Gutterball14 with 1T.
Okay, Gutter Ball. Love that. Justin, I appreciate it again. Stay
Yep,
safe out there.
absolutely, man. Yep, you too.